I have seen the moment of my greatness flicker, and I have seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker. And in short, I was afraid. Shape without form, shade without color, paralyzed force, gesture without motion. On the threshold of heaven, the figures in the street become the figures of heaven. The majestic movement of men, growing small in the distances of space, singing with smaller and still smaller sound, unintelligible, absolution at an end, the human end, in the spirit's greatest reach, the extreme of the known, in the presence of the extreme of the unknown. The newsboy's muttering becomes another's murmuring, the smell of medicine, a fragrance not to be spoiled. The sounds drift in. The buildings are remembered. The life of the city never lets go, nor do you ever want it to. It is part of the life in your room. Its domes are the architecture of your bed. The bells keep on repeating solemn names and choruses and choirs of choruses, unwilling that mercy should be a mystery of silence, that any solitude of sense should give you more than their peculiar chords and reverberations clinging to whisper still. Like etherized upon a table, let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights and one-night cheap hotels and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. A short life and a merry one, my brick. We used to say we'd hate to live dead and old, yet now I'd willingly be puffy, bald, and patriotic. Buffers catch from boys, at least the jokes hurled at them. I suppose little I'd ever teach a son but hitting. Well, that's what I learnt. That and making money. Your 50 years ahead seem none too many? Tell me how long I've got. God. For 1 year to help myself to nothing more than air. One spring, is that one too good to spare? Too long? Dead men may envy living mites and cheese, or good germs even. Microbes have their joys and subdivide and never come to death. And lonely as it is, that loneliness will be lonely ere it will be less. A blanker whiteness of benighted snow with no expression, nothing to express. So little cause for carolings if such ecstatic sound was written on terrestrial things afar a night around, that I could think there trembled through his happy good-night air some blessed hope, whereof he knew and I was unaware. His self and the sun were one, and his poems, although making of his self, were no less makings of the sun. It was not important that they survive. What mattered was that they should bear some lineament or character, some affluence, if only half perceived in the poverty of their words, of the planet of which they were part. In the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo, but like a poet hidden in the light of thought, singing hymns unbidden, the world was wrought to sympathy with hopes and fears it heeded not. She was the maker of the song she sang, that ever-hooded, tragic-gestured sea was merely a place by which she walked to sing. Whose spirit is this? We said because we knew it was the spirit that we sought and knew that we should ask this often as she sang, so that we feel in this illumined large the veritable small, so that each of us beholds himself in you and hears his voice in yours, master and commiserable man, intent on your particles if nether do. But she says, I am content when wakened birds, before they fly, test the reality of misty fields by their sweet questionings. But when the birds are gone, and their warm fields return no more, where then is paradise? And you, it is you that speak it, without speech, the loftiest syllables among loftiest things, the one invulnerable man among crude captains, the naked majesty, if you like. of bird nest arches and of rain-stained vaults. Shall I say I have gone through narrow streets and watched the smoke that rises from the pipes of lonely men in shirt sleeves leaning out of windows? I have seen them riding seaward on the waves, combing the white hair of the waves blown back, when the wind blows the water white and black. Why, when the singing ended and we turned toward the town, tell why the glassy lights, as night descended, tilting in the air, mastered the night and portioned out the sea, fixing in blazed zones and fiery poles, arranging, deepening, enchanting night. So that we feel, in this illumined large, the veritable small, so that each of us beholds himself in you, and hears his voice in yours, master and commiserable man, intent on your particles of nether dew. I do not think that they will sing to me. They cannot scare me with their empty spaces between stars, on stars where no human race is. I have it in me so much nearer home, to scare myself with my own desert places. Far in the pillared dark, thrush music went, almost like a call to come into the dark and lament.